Khabib versus Dustin Poirier. Guys, we got a lot to unpack here, okay? Let's get into the X's and O's of the fight. Let's just start with that. Let's do the drama second. Okay, here's the thing. Khabib went out and did what Khabib always does. Now, okay, Chael, well, take your headset off and go home. I guess your job's done here. No. Hear me out. One thing in this sport you can't do, one thing in this sport, if we look at the history of the sport that has never worked, ever, is to do the same thing over and over and over for years and expect that you're still going to be the champion. This sport was at its infancy. I'll start back in 1993. I'll bring this to you real fast though. All you needed was one discipline, and what we found out is it was a grappling art. And we had a little bit of a discussion. Is top control of Dan Severn more important than understanding submissions of Royce Gracie? Think we settled that dispute. Looked like the submissions were pretty important. That was in 1993. By 1998, if you were not a Marco Huas type, where you could punch and kick, take down, defend, if you couldn't do those things, you did not have a seat at the table. By 2004, if you couldn't do all of those things well and do them for 25 minutes, live a lifestyle, clean eating, clean diet, twice a day training, have a coach, be in a gym, you did not have a seat at the table. But all guys, I can think of George St-Pierre. Don't you guys remember? George St-Pierre has to take everybody down. And when he runs into somebody he can't take down, he's going to get beat. Well, he ran into that guy. His name was Matt Hughes. George knocked him out with a head kick. Point being, George had to adapt. And the only guys that stick around that long, they just have to adapt. They have to change. They have to have more skills. And over time, you're going to run into somebody where you have to bring those skills out. Plan A is not going to work. With Khabib, Plan A has not yet failed him. And by the way, he's fought all of the right guys. And yes, I will listen to the chorus of people saying, bring on Tony Ferguson, and that's the one guy that can deal with him. I will add to that chorus. I will not predict for you right now that I'm predicting Tony. Give me some time. You guys all get that same benefit. But I will concede Tony could beat him as long as you're willing to concede to me right back. Khabib could beat Tony. I mean, that's a weird fight. I don't know that there's anybody else alive right now that you could look at objectively and believe that Khabib has not seen and overcome handily whatever skills they are to bring to the table. So for Khabib to go out in fight number 1 of the UFC all the way to right now, with all the he's dealt with the pressure, he's dealt with the hunger, he's dealt with the contenderships, he's dealt with the undercard, the overcard, the biggest fight in history of MMA. Now he has to go out to Abu. Do you know the pressure that was on him to do that? He did it. Oh, and by the way, didn't lose a round. Oh, and by the way, I'm not sure he lost a sequence. I believe he was stumbled at some point in that fight, but I believe it because the announcers said it. I went back and watched it on replay. I couldn't see it. But I accept that it happened because I kind of saw Khabib's body language after the announcers said they saw it and this big punch. I kind of did see him back away, put his head down and kind of throw some punches to keep some space. What I'm saying, though, is there is at least a discussion out there of did Khabib even suffer 1 second of adversity against the top contender in the world, the interim champion, who to become interim champion had Gaethje, had Eddie, had Pettis, had Holloway. I mean, my goodness, is there anything more that a guy would have to do in life to become a number 1 contender than what Poirier did? No, nobody's had to do what Poirier's had to do to become a contender. I don't know that Khabib lost a minute. Oh, and he did it exactly with what we knew he was going to do. Now, we've seen this before in boxing. We all knew that Mike Tyson was going to throw that uppercut and follow it with a hook. Everybody knew that. Nobody could stop it. We've seen it in wrestling. We all knew that John Smith and Chael Sonnen were going to get on your shoe. They were going to get to your ankle. You better be flexible. You better have endurance. We've seen it. And nobody could stop it. In MMA, though, it is a lot more rare. It really is. If you look at another great fighter, John Jones. One thing about John, compliment for John, he adapts every time. In the first 30 seconds of every single John Jones fight, John Jones will do, in the first 30 seconds of every John Jones fight, I'll repeat it, John will do a technique you've never seen him do before. John will do some techniques that sometimes that Joe Rogan cannot even call it a name because he doesn't know. He has to just say what happened. Oh, he just kicked him right above the leg. Oblique kick. That expression wasn't created yet. That expression and that technique and the terminology for it was created because Jon Jones was doing it. But Jon Jones, who's had a long career and longevity, is the other side of this argument. He is the guy that constantly is looking to evolve. When you look at somebody like Khabib, who is so efficient with their skills, okay, I do not propose for you, by the way, and I hope this is the message you're getting, because this is what I'm attempting to make clear, but I won't make it connected. That's just tell you, I don't suggest for you that Khabib does not have a plan B. I do not subscribe to the people that believe Khabib can't fight the fight right here and can't throw powerful kicks and knees and elbows. I don't suggest that for you. I hear that argument out there all the time, that he's not the most dynamic. He hasn't shown the adversity, I apologize, the diversity of a Jon Jones or a George St-Pierre. That is true. Your eyes aren't deceiving you. He has not shown it. He has never had anybody where he's had to show it against. And that's the example I'm trying to, in connection to George St-Pierre versus Matt Hughes. George St-Pierre finally did run into a guy who he could not just blast from halfway across the ring and start making it a vicious and dirty jiu-jitsu match. So he then had to show his plan B. Then we all saw what a great striker he was. He reinforced that down the road when he ran into Josh Koscheck, another guy he could not just blast. He reinforced that down the road when he ran into Johnny Hendricks, a guy who's now even scoring takedowns on George. Showed us how good he was at plan B. Khabib has not even gotten there yet. So when Khabib comes out after the fight and says, you need to make me number one pound for pound in the world, I deserve this. That is a simple statement, a simple request, and simply no way around it. He has not even shown us how good he is. He has shown us how much better he is than everybody else. He has not shown us how good he is.